Welcome to Supply Chain Talks. My name is Kristian Mortensen. I'm Senior Director, Global Partnership and Alliances at project44, and today I'm also your host for Supply Chain Talks. project44 has hand-curated a strong partner network in order to extend and enable the best possible customer experience. During spring and early summer, we welcome you to our partner series, Supply Chain Talks. These conversations touch on current developments in global supply chains and the world of logistics. Today, we very warmly welcome Mr. Robert Recknagel to Supply Chain Talks. Robert is Vice President, Manufacturing and Logistics at Flexis. Robert, I'm very, very happy to have you join.
Hi, Kristian. Also happy to be here. Thank you very much for welcoming us or welcome me in.
Thank you. Robert, let's start with Logistics 4.0. What is that and how does that help us in getting extra value out of transport logistics?
Thanks, Kristian, for the question. We at Flexis, we are dealing a lot with all of the areas end to end along the supply chain when it comes to planning and optimization. And we have learned in the past that all of the planning topics were pretty much focused on planning, on static things. We've seen in transportation a lot of topics around how should I run a fixed network. I ask myself the question once a year, every quarter, or something like that. But then I tried to keep it all stable and fixed. And what we learned was, for example, also, and one of the reasons when you look, for example, at the COVID times, was the toilet paper issue, where you could pretty much see how that works out. Because you had like the supermarkets and then the fixed networks, and they've seen, oh shit, people are buying a lot more food than before and stuff. So we don't have space on the trucks. So let's just leave the toilet paper away because it doesn't generate a lot of revenue, but in the end, people found that it's not in the shop, and the whole story started. So what they found out is, well, you know, it makes sense to get more real time, to get closer to reality, and this is something that we as Flexis also follow a lot, using cloud technology, using in-memory databases, and for example, or especially in that case, strengthening partnerships like the one with project44, where we really connect plans and operational plans to real life and to what happens in reality. And this generates high value for the customers.
You and Flexis, I guess, are typically exactly the ones big companies would call when things are getting really complex. Could you tell us how you work with transportation management? Yeah,
happy to describe. So on one hand, to be honest, also Flexis is a provider, interesting there, having different channels. So we also provide a lot of pretty easy and standard web and API-based services for customers that are also for small and medium-sized customers. But especially in the area of large and complex corporations, I do agree it's one of the strengths Flexis has, where especially when it comes to the large TMS systems, like also the ones you know from the Magic Quadrant of Gartner, they pretty much cover a lot of planning functionalities. They have some routing engines, they have some vehicle scheduling engines inside, which works for a lot of cases. But where we typically come in is when it's getting more complex, when it's more constraints to consider, and when there's a huge business case in really understanding the reality and the business of the customer scenario.
Robert, the modern supply chain is all about speed. Supply chain leaders are looking to jump on the latest trend to get a leg up in the race for elite optimization. With such an array of technology and software available, all of which claim to be the key to resilience and efficiency, how does your customers, perhaps by your advice, determine the best route forward?
Yeah. I believe that that it's really important for the customers to start listening to themselves, to understand what is happening, right? Not just looking on who's currently the biggest guy in media, but really to understand what is my challenge, how can I get better, how can I profit from that new cloud-based approaches, going that microservice approach, not for the big game changer, the huge solutions, but pretty much about, okay, I understand this is my process, this is my scenario. I understand that there's a particular business value in doing things better tomorrow, better quality in supply, more efficiency in delivery, better green footprint, whichever the target is in the end, and then find a partner, discussing it with him and targeting especially each single opportunity, also understanding the business value and the business case, because we see a lot at the moment that it's capability driven in a sense of, okay, this is, it's possible, but it's not about what is possible. It's about what is valuable for my organization. And this is also the only thing that my decision makers will sign off in the end. If not, it always stays in that innovation corner and doesn't really come to life, right?
Amazing, very good insight, Robert. You're in a way you can say you are very, very passionate about the work that you do. So I could listen to this conversation for a long time. If we try to focus on another topic, like how do real-time visibility merge into, let's say, integrated logistics planning, and again into your customers' world?
Yeah. I believe, and this is something that I see pretty much, a lot of companies are now investing in visibility, which is definitely the right way to go, right? We've seen, and then I go also typically not in that times, obviously, but to a lot of congresses and a lot of chats, and I'm talking a lot with analysts to understand what is driving the companies, what's driving the people. And when it was about 3, 4, 5 years ago, the TMS systems going stronger into the markets, the companies understanding that they need a strong transactional platform to manage transportation, kind of the next natural step that a lot of customers went to or are going to is the visibility topic, because they understood that what I plan or what I have in my TMS system is not the reality in the end, but my customer expects to have the reality. People are sitting at home. Today, my parcel guy came. I knew it already 4 hours ago when I got the email telling me that the guy is coming at 5 minutes to 4. So that's the expectation I'm coming from in a B2C environment. And are we talking about B2B, not knowing on which day the goods are coming? And this doesn't work. So a lot of customers investing in that, which we believe is very valuable for the customers. But the next maturity step that we see in development in the customers area is now really to start controlling the process, to think about how can I tomorrow plan better? How can I use the space? Can I maybe combine 2 shipments, wait another day, and by that run a consolidated truck? Or am I using groupage networks or FTL, LTL trucks? So a lot of discussions coming up in that case, right? And on the other side, then you need a proper system to make sure you communicate it down to the execution, and you get the feedback, the ETA back, the position back, and then starting to compare and to learn to see what is the impact of a deviation. Today, someone's just telling me, okay, there is a deviation, but we are the guys saying, what is the meaning of the deviation? Maybe even the truck is half a day late, which is 100% okay, because I still have enough stock in my warehouse, or the truck needs to wait anyways before the goods entrance opens. So you need a system, or you can automate this kind of processes using AI algorithms, machine learning algorithms to say, okay, understood, there is a meaning, I need to warn people, or no, leave it, we'll register it, we'll save it, we'll understand it for the future, but we'll not do anything today. And this will decrease a lot the efforts that the planners and the traffic coordinators have today. And it will allow them having a lot more time focusing on the real important topics. And that will increase cost efficiency in transport, special transport being cheaper. Just remembering, knowing half a day before that you have a problem could make the difference between running a special delivery for 300 euro compared to chartering an airplane for 8,000 euro, right? So that's a business case that you can directly get by knowing the impact early, understanding the impact, and having the right people in place. And I believe you still need people to do the execution and to understand the scenarios. Systems can help, but they can today in transportation not decide everything. But how can you support these people? How can you make them more skilled? This is something that we are currently really working in, right?
So if I hear you correctly, only if a company has visibility into their, perhaps both the inbound shipments and outbound shipments, would they be able to mitigate any problems? And you started by mentioning toilet paper, but let's say following the outbreak of COVID-19, many supply chains around the globe are suffering shortages. Probably car industry and lacking of auto chips is one of the ones that come to my mind. So how do companies really improve in this area? Because shutting down a Toyota car factory for 2 weeks because you are lacking chips is a rather expensive exercise.
Absolutely, and it's an interesting topic you're talking about, and as I said, this is part of our daily business to understand also that kind of issues, and it's interesting to see because this shows how the whole supply chain needs to interconnect from the short-term visibility topic and control tower topics, which we were speaking about before, really up to the strategic level. Because you know what happened in that case of the shortages of the chips was in the end that the car manufacturers were pretty quick in shutting down their supply chains, but just switching off the orders, right? But they completely forgot about thinking about the future. So how can I ramp up my business again? And what happened to them, interesting enough, is that all of the consumer goods producers, they had their peak time during COVID because everyone was investing in that kind of gadgets and stuff for home, right? And automotive was not ordering anything. So the whole stuff shifted from one industry to another. And when the automotive guys woke up again, they recognized that all of the volume was gone already, right? So this is a man-made problem, which really guides you to the topic to say the companies need to understand that they need to connect and break the silos open and bring the different disciplines, be it the transport supervisor, the transport planner, the demand planner, the strategic planner, into the same platform, into the same visibility, allowing them really to do excellent work, right?
Robert, and I think this would be my last question really, but from everything you are telling me here today, it seems to me that global supply chains are perhaps getting ready for a very serious round of digitalization. And I know that you have worked in a very large logistics service provider prior to joining Flexis, giving you a very good background for let's say, this next industry development. So what is the next, let's say, phase of digitalization of the modern supply chain?
It's really, as said, in my opinion, getting away from huge blocks in software, starting thinking in platforms, connecting the elements along the platform. And I'm really not talking about the Big Bang, because this is something that you hear on the market pretty much. I've been talking to a large car OEM already 5 years back, I think. And the guys there told me, listen, we start a new project. I said, what's that you plan? He says, you know, we need to control the whole supply chain through our production, the first tier, the second tier, the third tier back, and we need to control their production, and we need to control the transport in between and everything, right? And this is kind of the target we are working towards, where I said, look, guys, it's maybe a bit too much at the beginning, right? Because you need to understand, how does everything fit together? How does it correlate? How does the other one produces on stock, not on stock, which factories? So a lot of challenge. I wouldn't go that far today. And what I believe is that we will get into a platform industry and business where you have strong transactional platforms connecting different players in the supply chain, connecting different dimensions in the supply chain, bringing planning and execution together, bringing visibility in, and really guiding it into a huge, meaningful environment, but not in a big bang in one project, but as many small steps towards a cloud-based environment. And this will generate large value. And what I don't know today, which is a very interesting thing to see, and you know, for us as flexis, producing cloud-based services and microservices, we're pretty ready for the race and the area, pretty open also to connect into these kind of environments. As you are also involved in different platforms and environments. But it's really interesting to see how the race goes, who's providing that platform later on, how do they interlink in future, but that it goes into that direction, I'm 100% sure. Right.
Well, I'm happy that Flexis and project44 are good partners, because that means we can take those, let's say, that journey up the digital ladder step by step together. I really agree with your approach that there is no magic bullet. Step by step, it's the best way to go forward. So Robert, welcome to Supply Chain Talks. Thank you for joining today and sharing your insights. And even more importantly, thank you for the partnership with Flexis. So thank you very much.
Yeah, Kristian, also thank you very much from our side. We appreciate it. The partnership with project44 is really key for our company and also for what we do at the moment. And I'm happy to join the talks today, and I'm looking forward a lot more exciting talks with you guys. Right.
Okay. Thank you very much.